recording. So hello and welcome to Achieve Your Goals and Live Your Dreams, where we are going to turn your to-dos into ta-dons. So let's have a look at, we've been spending some time before we started recording, getting to know you and where you are, who you are, what some of your goals are, and what you think might actually challenge you. So we're going to start off by introducing ourselves and giving you just a little taste about why this workshop is so important to us. So go ahead, Melody.
Hi. Okay, so I am Melody Ann, and I'm the founder of Author Nation. And I started in publishing in the 1990s with Oxford University Press. That dates me a little bit. I was working in South America. I love all things writing, publishing, and marketing, which is why I do what I do. And I believe that we all have value to share, and some people choose to share that value through that valuable message through a book. And I provide those people with a seamless experience from idea to publish so they can enjoy the process. I also love hiking in the mountains. This is really important stuff. You got to know this, guys, in the summer. And I love curling up with a cat and a book in the winter. That's what I'm doing when I'm not supporting authors. Thank you, Aura.
Oh, that was really great. Thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust the spotlight. So I'm Aura McKay, and I'm the founder of Business of Creativity. And I had a 20-year career as an international award-winning professional photographer. And along that journey, I really saw the gap between getting training on your creative skills and getting training on how to master the commerce or the business of being a creative, and especially being a photographer, a designer, videographer, etc. So I have spent a lot of time over the last 2.5 decades learning how I can support you in your pricing, your marketing, your mindset to be successful, to actually earn more, do less, and feel confident in your business. And one of the things that I am a huge fan of is setting goals and celebrating progress. And it wasn't always this case for me. I don't know if you all got the emails or how you found your way here, but for me, setting goals was kind of a stressful thing. It was one of those things where I would really struggle, and I would have to pick the right one, and it had to look like this, and it had to be like this. And it came from all kinds of beliefs and stories and thoughts that created goal setting as a struggle for me. And it wasn't until I used a bunch of the tools that we're going to teach you here today that I started changing my relationship with goals and started to be able to get more results and achieve even more of those goals and live closer to my dreams. So we are going to share those with you today. Melody's going to kick us off with, what is an achievable goal? What is the actual anatomy of an achievable goal?
Thank you, Aura. I know a lot of people look at SMART goals, but I actually look at my goals a little differently. I look at my goals in terms of outcome goals and process goals. And this comes from when I was a gymnast. So I lived on a farm in the country where there were no gyms until I was 11 years old. And at 11 years old, we moved to the city where there were gyms. And my 11-year-old self said, I can now become Nadia Comaneci. That's what I believed. And that was my dream, to score a perfect 10 in the Olympics and you know, to be this, you know, tiny little thing that everyone was like, look what she did. I love gymnastics. I'd never done it in my life. I was 11. I walked into a gym and I had this big goal. But of course, here's the thing about goals. I didn't control that goal. I wasn't going to choose myself for the competitive team. I wasn't scoring myself. I wasn't choosing the winner. And so sometimes, a lot of times, we have goals that we have no control over. And Sue was asking earlier, can I set a goal that relies on someone else to fulfill it? So, and here's the thing, as a gymnast, we have this big outcome goal. Those are the goals we don't control. Those are the big, scary, hairy dreams, goals that we want, but that are so big, it's not something you just do. You actually need to break it down, and it's not something that you control. So an outcome goal is not something you do, and it's not something you control. It is that big dream that you want to have. And so as a gymnast, there was this big dream that I wanted to have. And so if we could put the slide back up, Aura. And so in order to get to this outcome goal, which I had no control over, I had to go and look at the process of getting there. And so how do you get to this big goal of being a competitive gymnast? Well, you stretch your shoulders and you do a handstand and you do the splits and you do what you can see in the picture there is a bridge. And these are these tiny, tiny little things that you do that lay the foundation of the bigger pieces. So whenever I went into the gym, the only thing I was doing were those tiny little things that I could control. And as a gymnast, you actually spend the first several years usually just doing those tiny little process goals. You don't have any outcomes. And then one day, can you go back to the slide? Or sorry.
I'm going to follow you along. You don't even have to guide me unless
okay.
I'm
so
my
you do
intuition rides.
Perfect. Thank you. So after you've done all these tiny little process goals, you're still not in that big outcome goal. You still haven't made that big dream, but now you can do something. You can start measuring it. So in gymnastics, you can do a cartwheel, or you can squat over the vault, which is what you see where it says performance. And so you have these kind of middle of the way measurable goals that in the beginning you can't do, but as you're learning, you will learn how to do them. So you go from these tiny little process goals to things you can measure, performance goals, to that big, scary, hairy outcome, right? The dream. And so that is how you get somewhere. And so, Sue, can you set a goal that relies on someone else to fulfill it? Yes. Set an outcome goal that relies on someone else to fulfill it. But don't focus on that every day. Every day, you focus on those tiny little things that you can do. So what do they look like? A process goal is an action you control, and they start with a verb. And this is also going to help. Who was it who said, Anna said, my biggest obstacle currently is mental energy. Taking on big projects just seems so exhausting. And so I get that, being a gymnast, right? The whole idea of being this big competitive gymnast is huge. So what you do, Anna, is you don't think about the whole. You're not looking at the top of the mountain. You're looking at what you're doing today, that one tiny thing, that action you can control. It starts with a verb, and think about, it doesn't take me more than an hour, maybe 2 hours to actually accomplish that thing. And then you have your performance goals, things you measure. So you're measuring your progress towards your desired outcome so that you can adjust if necessary. Because you don't want to just do process goals, and never actually take a moment and step back and look to see, is this getting me where I want to go? Because there's more than one path to where you want to go. So you want to be able to evaluate, learn, and adjust. And then finally, the outcome goal. This is the desired outcome, and you have no control over this. And that's okay, because you're not focused on that every day. You're focused on your process goals. Thank you, Aura. Awesome. So let's look at writing a book as an example. When I work with authors, they always like, I'm writing a book. What are you doing today? I'm writing a book. And then they get so overwhelmed. Their mental energy, they're, like Anna, they're exhausted because it's such a big project. And so what I do is I say, look, today you're writing 100 words. That's all you're doing. And sometimes here's the question you're answering. Answer that in 100 words or 200 words. That's all you're doing today. That's it. And if you do that once a day for 2 weeks, you've written a chapter. And there's a performance goal. So I've now completed a chapter. Stop, celebrate, enjoy the moment. And then your next performance goal might be the next chapter. And then you go back to writing 100 words a day. I have authors who come to me, I want to write 1,000 words a day. And I always say, no, start with 100. Start with 100, work up to 200. And my authors generally land up writing 1,000 words per session because they start by just writing 100 words and focusing on that and not getting overwhelmed by the whole. So this is how process goals will work for you when you have these big, crazy, scary goals and you want to break them down into these tiny pieces so that you can focus on them, maintain your energy, and maintain control of what you can control that will lead you towards what you want. Thank you.
The piece that I really like about that too is that sometimes when we're setting our goals, we set all these goals and we're like, oh, by the end of the year, I want to blah, 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 blah. And when you look at them, some of them are process goals already, and some of them are outcome goals already. And that can make it hard if you're treating them all the same. It can make it really hard to be able to create an action plan or to be able to get started and move forward. So it's really a great idea, if you've already done your goals, to just go back and review them from the lens that Melody has given us, to be able to see, is this in fact a process goal and I can put it on my action plan right away? Or is this an outcome goal and I need to create a performance and a process around it so that I can be more successful and I'm not just leaving it in somebody else's hands? Yeah. Fantastic.
Brilliant, Aura. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice summary.
Course. And then, of course, what happens for us is we've like, okay, we've got these goals. We now know that some of them are process and some of them are performance and some of them are outcome. And we look at that outcome goal and we have the same exact experience that we have all the time, which is like, but wait, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough time. I can't do it. I've never worked before. All of those little gremlins that have come up and sabotaged you before in your life, in the past, up until now. So I'm going to offer you, there are 3 core beliefs that will help you overcome imposter syndrome. And then I'm going to teach you how to access these beliefs. So first of all, the belief number 1 is believing that in fact it is possible. Believing that it is in fact possible for people to write books. Believing that it's possible for people to become gymnasts. Believing that it's even possible for creative people to make whack doodle loads of money. It is possible, even if we've been told for a long time that it's not possible. So the first thing is to think, is this goal, this outcome that you've created for yourself, is it even a possibility? And for some people, they've created impossible goals, but they still believe that it can happen. Even if there's no evidence that it has ever happened before, they believe that it's possible. They believe that it's possible to have electric cars. They believe that it's possible to be able to have streaming music on a handheld device. So you have to first believe that it's possible. And then you have to believe that it's actually possible for you. Because I remember being a photographer, and a lot of times it was, well, yeah, but other people can be successful because they have whatever resources or support or community or special secret sauce or magic wand or some kind of golden ticket that I didn't get. So do you believe in fact that success is possible for you? And this is how, when we go to do things and we say, okay, but is that a reasonable goal? So this is where I would get stuck a lot of the times, which was I wanted to make sure that my goals were reasonable and achievable. And so I really limited what I could do, because I would only set goals that I knew how to reach, because I was so attached to that second core belief of believing that not only that I could do it, but I thought I had to know today exactly how to do it. And that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is you just have to believe that it's possible for you. So if you've set a revenue goal of $250,000 for 2023, if you on the inside are going, what are you talking about? $250,000? I'd never do that. All this self-talk and negative talk, then stop, set a new goal, and keep setting a new goal until your belief in yourself is at least, I don't know how to do it, but I believe that I probably could, under the right circumstance, maybe achieve it. Now you have a goal that you actually believe is possible for you. And if you have goals on your list already that you think, I don't even know if that's possible, keep adjusting those goals until you believe they're possible, even if you don't know how to do it. And here's core belief number 3. Believe that it's worth it. Because sometimes we have goals and we think, okay, my goal is to lose 50 pounds, but I don't want to exercise or change my diet, so it's not worth it to me. And the belief that it's worth it is really connecting to why things matter to you. So connecting to the belief that it's possible is just look for evidence that other people have succeeded. That's actually really great because it means that it is possible. Belief number 2, believe that it's possible for you. If you don't believe that it's possible for you, keep going until you create one that is possible for you. And believing that it's worth it, that's where you might need other people to say, hey, I've done it before. It's possible. I can do it. You can do it. It is worth it. I promise. So again, being in a place of community of support. So I'm just checking our time here because we have a very tight schedule for you. So we're doing great. Any questions about those core beliefs before I move into looking at what your beliefs might be? I'm just looking at the gallery. Anybody got a hand raised? We're all good. Again, if you have any questions for us, please pop them in the chat box, use the reactions, raise your hand. This is a workshop that is specifically for you, meant to help you guys. And Cor, you have a question. Did you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I have 2 questions. Where is this session being conducted from?
So Melody and I are both in Vancouver.
Okay, in Vancouver. Okay, I'm also in Vancouver, New Westminster. Yeah.
Okay.
And second question is, do we get a PowerPoint slides after the session?
So great question. I can include the slides in the email that I'm going to be sending later this afternoon that has the link to the recording. So sure, I'll send the slides along. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Aura. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So when we think about beliefs, the 3 core beliefs are extremely important. But there are a lot of beliefs that happen around the idea of being able to achieve goals and creating that foundation of, I believe that it's possible and I believe that it's possible for me. So why does that matter? Well, many of you already know me. You know my stand on how beliefs matter and that our feelings and emotion lead to our thoughts and our beliefs. And so it's our thoughts and our beliefs that are going to determine whether you take action and get those results. So many of us burn out by mid-March and we're not keeping going on taking action. And usually it's because of our beliefs. And if you really want to achieve your goals and live your dreams, you need to take the actions. And we're gonna set you up for how to take the actions. But the number one thing for how to take the action is by managing your own mindset and your own belief system. So here is something that I'm going to offer you. I'm going to just say, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And what I'm going to invite you to do, grab a pen and paper, is I'm going to invite you to write down some of your current beliefs about your goals, not goals in general. So pick one of your goals, write a book, book an acting gig, write your 3rd book, whatever, do your $250,000 in sales. Listen for, inside your own head, inside your own self-talk, listen for what are the beliefs that come right after you declare your goal to yourself. So it might look like something like this. My goal is to release 20 pounds from my body by 2023. Oh my God, but that's going to be so hard. Oh God, weight loss is so hard and I suck at exercise. And oh, that means I'm going to have to sacrifice things and I guess it'll be worth it. All of those beliefs, write them down. My goal is to grow my team. oh God, but growing my team, I don't know how to hire. And even if I did know how to hire, how am I going to get the right person? And people are so unreliable and I don't have any money. And those are all the things that might stop you. Write it all down. I'm going to give you 30 seconds without me talking even for you to write it down. Ready? Go. About 10 seconds left. Write down at least one belief that isn't supporting you. A lot of us have great beliefs. I promised I wouldn't talk. All right. Are there any brave souls in the room that would like to share one of their goals and a subsequent belief around it? Do not take this moment to scratch your nose. Oh, go ahead, Deneen. Thank you. Go ahead and unmute.
Sorry, I'm on dual screen, so it's hard to get my cursor where I need it to be. One of the beliefs that it goes through my head all the time is, am I good enough to compete in the current market?
Okay, so is the belief, am I good enough, or is the belief, I'm not good enough?
Good question.
I
I think it's a banter between the two of them.
Okay, so a belief really starts on I believe or I something. So if you were to change it into an I statement where you're really owning it as like, this is, I believe that this is about me. How could you say it?
Do
you believe?
I believe I'm not good enough for the current market.
Awesome.
Does that make
sure.
sense?
And,
Okay.
and another way of saying that is I believe everybody else is better than me, or I believe I can't compete, or I believe I need new skills, or whatever that is. So for you was I believe, what say it again for us, Deneen, please?
I believe I'm not good enough for the current market. Okay,
great. And what is your goal?
God, it sounds so harsh when you say it like that.
When you say it out loud, right? Like, could you imagine saying this to your best friend? Oh, you're not good enough. It's like, what? Okay.
This is horrible.
We're gonna shift it for you though. So what was the goal around it, Deneen?
What is the goal?
Yeah, what is the goal? That you're not.
Okay, so the goal is I'm thinking of starting a new business.
Okay, so you'd like to start a new business in 2023. But the belief is
actually 2025, but yeah, I'm getting ahead of the game.
Begin the process of starting a new business by 2025, but the belief is I'm not good enough.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. That takes a lot. I really appreciate you, but you are not alone. I don't know if you can see there's some like solidarity in the chat box for you. So here's the thing. You're halfway there to shifting that belief around, Deneen. And one of the ways that you're halfway there is by going to a progressive statement. So step one is writing down your beliefs with an I believe. I believe I am not good enough to be able to start a business by 2025. It's just not going to happen. I can't compete in today's market, whatever it is. The more you use your own words, the more powerful this will be. Then you rewrite it. And you could say things like, I'm in the process, I'm making progress with, in the past up until now, I'm trying on, or right now. So if you were to say, I believe that I am not good enough to compete in today's market right now, doesn't that give you some more space to start giving yourself some compassion and actually start to believe that it is possible for, and it is possible for you? So, or you can say, you know what, I believe that I'm not good enough to compete in today's market, but I'm making progress in seeing how my skills can be leveraged. So you don't have to change today's market, but changing how you can see yourself, and not by saying some kind of like arbitrary thing of like, oh, I'm totally good enough to compete. It's like your inner dialogue is just going to call bullshit right on you, and you're not going to believe it. And then you've sacrificed your core beliefs. So Deneen, what could you say to yourself instead? Because step 3 is to practice using it. So the next time you hear, oh, I'm not good enough for this, what are you going to say out loud to yourself to replace that belief? Or what could you say?
I could say I'm making progress with starting a new business and working in a current market.
Yeah. And I'm making progress with understanding how my skills can be used in today's market. I'm making progress with learning how to compete in today's market. And that's
it's so much kinder.
Love it. Love it. Congratulations. Thank you for playing along. So I am just going to.
Thank you.
So I saw a few other hands up. I think this was Sue and Juliet. We're going to play along. Did you want to just quickly add to that? Because we do have just a few more minutes if you like. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, I looked at a couple of mine, like I've never done that before. There are other actors like me with more name recognition, and there aren't any major roles for 80-year-old women in film. Well, that last one, there aren't any major roles for 80-year-old women in film. My only new answer was bullshit.
Yeah, so that's a really great point, actually, is sometimes what you're talking about are facts and not beliefs. And so if the fact is that there are no actors anywhere in the world over 80 who are working, then being an actor over 80 doesn't seem to be possible. But we actually know that there are actors over 80 that are working. And so if the belief is it doesn't feel like there are any roles for actors over 80, then you can change that belief by using the progressive statements of it doesn't feel like there are any roles for actors over 80, and I'm making progress on finding out if that's true. Or I'm in the process of learning what other roles I'm learning, or I'm making progress with not letting my age limit what I see as available to me. So sometimes there are facts out there, but be careful of facts because they're not as true as you might think they are. How is that for you, Sue? Is that helpful? Yes, great, awesome, thank you. Juliet, did you have something to ask or add as well?
Well, I was able to just build my progressive statement, so maybe I could share it. Okay, great. So my goal is to become a brand strategist by June 1st. And my progressive statement is I'm making progress with building my experience as a brand strategist to find my first client.
Okay, great. So what was the negative or limiting belief that you had before you created your progress statement?
So it was, I believe that I need to get years of experience in a corporate setting to find my first clients as a consultant.
Great. So I believe I need years of experience in a corporate setting to be successful, is really what you're saying.
Yeah.
So your progressive statement is?
I'm making progress with building my experience as a brand strategist to find my first client.
Okay, great. So I'm making progress with using the experience I do have to get my first client. Yeah, absolutely. And you know that that's true because you are making progress. You've signed up for coaching, you've signed up for additional support, like you're taking meaningful action. So you are believing that. There's still that little bit of like, ooh, I don't know if it's going to work, but I believe that it's possible. I believe that it's possible for me. And I believe that it's worth making the investment and doing the work. So fantastic, Juliet. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Really, thank you very much. All right, folks. So that is progressive statements. There is a download that you can do. I'll just put that back on the screen for you. It's a little workbook if you'd like to know more about progressive statements. It's on businessofcreativity.ca/progressive-statements. But that brings us to, once you actually believe and you have the mindset, you still need some skill sets and tool sets, because you can't do it all. I know you think you can, you want to do it, you want to try to do it, but the truth is that you cannot do it all. So how do we manage our time to avoid overwhelm and burnout? Melody?
Thank you, Aura. So if you've been reading the emails, you might know this, but I spent many years, I had a mom with Alzheimer's, I had 2 kids, they're both competitive athletes. My days kept getting sucked up by everyone else's priorities, agendas, and mine just kind of got left to the wayside. And then I'd think, oh, summer, I'll do something in summer, and then the kids were out of school, and so I just kept falling into this everyone else's role was what's important rather than mine, until I decided, no, wait a minute, I need to figure out what my own rhythms are. I like to hide in the winter. I'm happy to work in the winter as long as I can get out in the summer, and I get up early in the morning, and I like to work really early in the morning rather than working late at night. And I started kind of building my own rhythms, because here's the thing. At first, I started following all the advice. The advice: start your day by relaxing, eat the frog first, don't answer emails before lunch, get up at 4 a.m., exercise first in the morning, exercise at night. Don't exercise in the morning, exercise at night. Do the important task first. Wake up at 4 a.m. You need 8 hours sleep. And don't forget to drink so many glasses of water a day. And when you start following all of those bits of advice, you're going to end up exhausted. Your battery will hit 0 so fast, I promise you. So instead of following all those expert pieces of advice, what I did was I looked at my own rhythms, my seasonal rhythms, my monthly rhythms, my weekly rhythms, my daily rhythms. I just started looking at my own rhythms. And then I started building my ideal life around my personal rhythms. I like to, as I said, hike in the summer. I like to hibernate and work in the winter. And then I started developing my ideal week. And this is actually, it's not a super pretty thing, because it's actually my ideal week. So my ideal week is that I get up in the morning, I do some yoga, I read, I have some tea, I have breakfast, I get ready. And then every day I have a specific thing related to work that I do for 2 hours every morning, except Thursdays. And so what you want to do is you want to create your own ideal life and your own ideal week. And I'm not going to say that you're going to create this and then all of a sudden it's going to be real for you. I created this. One of my mentors said, what's your ideal week? What are your absolute non-negotiables, right? What are your priorities? How are you doing your fitting in self-care and activity and exercise? How are you doing all this? So I created this ideal week. And I promise you, for the first month, I didn't do it at all. And so it's like, okay, I'm just going to do my yoga in the morning. And then after that, I'm just going to do my Mondays. And so it's not something that you just do and it's done. It's something that you create because this is what you're aspiring to. And each day and each week, you do one little piece towards that. But here's the thing. Now, if you ask me what my work looks like, this is what my day or my week looks like. This is what it looks like. I am now living my ideal week. You'll see I have a mastermind on Tuesdays, and I talk to my coach. His name is Mike, every Wednesday at 11. I have an event for my community every Tuesday at 3 and every Monday at 10. I do a YouTube live every Thursday at 11:30. So I have all of that booked in, and those are my non-negotiables. Those are my absolute priorities. And then on top of that, I have my self-care. I add in breaks. And so I encourage you to decide, what are your priorities? What are your non-negotiables? Get yourself an ideal week, build it out, but don't look for perfection. You are in, as Aura just said, I am in the process of living my ideal life. I'm in the process of living my ideal week, and continue to aspire to it. And when you say, oh, wait, on Wednesdays at 8 a.m., I'm supposed to do marketing, and your kid or your dog or your husband or anyone comes for attention, you're like, no, this is my priority. I'll see you at 10 because I don't have anything booked then. And so really focus on your ideal week and let that inspire you. You can just have me on now, or if you want, let that inspire you and something to work towards. Because and Janine is saying, I want to build this business. Part of that will be being the CEO of your own life and building your own ideal day, week, month, and life. And it's absolutely possible. Thank you, Aura. You are on mute, my friend.
Good. I just, what I really love about doing this with you, Melody, is that both of us have very similar ideas and approaches, but really different ways of explaining and sharing it. So when I hear you share it, I'm like, oh, I'm all re-inspired back again to prioritize what are my non-negotiables. And I know for a lot of you, the struggle is, well, how do I figure that out? Like, how do I know what is a priority? And I know you have some tools that you use within your community to help people especially figure out priorities, because you take them through a very specific process to go from where they are to actually publishing their book. And it's like, you have that week after week after week, have exactly what are the things that are the priority this week. So that's a huge gift to give to your community.
And that's it, Aura. It's not that I magically knew all these priorities. I sat down with, I have a coach, I have a mentor. I sit down with people and they help me figure out what it means to run my business and how I fit that into my ideal life. It isn't something I magically did on my own. I woke up one day and I knew how to do this. This has been a process, and I've had a lot of support along the way. And I've worked, I've come to your events, right? And I've listened to how you do it. So I
come to your events, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So listening to how other people are doing it and getting the mentorship and the coaching and being in the masterminds, this is how I've landed up developing my ideal life and my ideal week. It wasn't something I woke up and did one day, just to be clear.
To be clear. Yeah, like a lot of times people come to our workshops and they think, well, we should be as good as the presenter. And just really, we are all just mastering our practice and practicing our mastery. And there are shortcuts. And one of those shortcuts is to connect with a mentor, a coach, a community that can help you organize your priorities. And one of the tools that I use in my training and teaching, and I use for my clients, is to look at Stephen Covey's time management matrix as a tool for deciding what actually matters. So there's the piece about, why things matter in general, which is when you're setting your goals and you're looking at your outcomes. Of course, you want to create meaningful outcomes that are going to pull you forward with fire and passion and energy and motivation. But you also want to be able to look at what are the specific things. Like, I have tasks I have to do. Like, I got stuff to do in my business. I got hats I wear. I got emails to answer and admin to do. And then all of a sudden there's a message that comes in. So looking at the activities that you have in your life and in your business, notice that if you're always in this sort of quadrant one area of dealing with just deadlines, like, oh, I got to deal with that deadline today. Oh, I got to deal with that deadline. Pressing problems, crises. If you're only looking 1 or 2 days ahead, the results of that prioritization are stress, burnout, crisis management, etc. And you're always feeling like you're putting out fires. Stephen Covey suggests that we should spend all of our time in the not urgent quadrant of doing things like planning and scheduling and creating time in our calendars, in our ideal week. What have you blocked off for doing your projects so that you're not coming right up against the deadline and it doesn't surprise you and sneak up on you? What time have you blocked off to work on those bigger picture goals? What time have you blocked off to take those tiny incremental actions that are going to lead towards those outcomes? So I love time blocking as a tool for being able to invest in the not urgent quadrant. I spend a lot of time planning things so that they're not in a crisis situation. Also, I do whatever I can to avoid a lot of the trivia stuff during my focused work time. So a part of finding your rhythm is knowing, hey, well, when do you like to work? Some of us like to work from, 6 a.m. till noon, like Melody is a morning person. Some of you all may be night people. 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. might be your like prime time. So protecting your time, and whatever your prime time is, using that for the not urgent, but the most important, is going to get you the best results. It's going to get you fewer crises. It's going to get you that consistency and discipline, the balance, control, and vision. If you're spending most of your time on social media or time wasters, it's not nothing, but you're going to fire yourself from your own business if that's where you spend most of it. So the hard part for me has always been interruptions, and where clients come in, or I see an email, or I see a notification. So again, creating boundaries over what kind of notifications you're going to allow in, what kind of distractions. Like Melody, at 10 o'clock, she's working on her marketing. She won't allow distractions until after that activity or that time that she has dedicated towards it is completed. So trying to do your best to protect the boundaries of your time, the boundaries of your environment, the boundaries of your communication channel will help you do more of the activities of like planning and scheduling. So some of you, that looks way overwhelming. So here is the simple way of looking at it. If you have something that has to get done today, that's urgent. If it doesn't have to get done today, schedule it. And we're talking about scheduling process-based goals or process actions or tiny actions. If it's not important, whoa, I just clicked the wrong button. If it's not important and it has to be done today, delegate it. Find someone else that could maybe do that work. Start working with other subcontractors and freelancers. And if it doesn't have to be done today, and it could be done much later, and it's totally unimportant, you probably don't need to do it at all. So using Stephen Covey's matrix can be a great way to help you figure out what to put on your ideal week when you are working on managing your own time that way. So I'm just going to stop the share because we're just about at the end of our main tips. We have one last bit of tips that we're going to talk about that are going to help you to be able to, oh, I forgot one thing, Melody. I'm going to go back and say it.
That's fine. Do it. And I was going to add something too. So,
okay, you add first and then I'll go back.
Yeah, I was going to say this, how Aura is saying, block off that time for that. I use their tasks, like marketing tasks, for example, that used to take me all day. Like marketing was an all day thing because I was interrupted so much. And I thought, oh, wow, marketing takes all day. But the truth is it takes me 2 hours. Marketing takes me 2 hours for the entire week, but it used to take me all day. But now that I don't allow anyone to talk to me for 2 hours and I get to focus on it, my phone is off, none of my social media is on. I do marketing in 2 hours. Then everyone else who wants to interrupt me has 6 hours of my time, rather than me feeling frustrated, them feeling frustrated, and still having, not so good marketing because I can't focus. So I just want to reiterate how important that is, and time blocking that off. And I used to have a sign on my door that said, "Don't interrupt unless the house is on fire."
That's a pretty good boundary. It's like, okay, nothing except for lighting the house on fire, and everything else doesn't count. I love it. Okay. I think that's, deciding what's important to us and like what that boundary is going to be. Like, is it the house on fire? Is it a sick kid? Is it a client? Like, what are you going to allow as an interruption? You're a solopreneur. You get to decide. Like, you designed this life, but sometimes it's really hard to decide what is actually important, or it can be hard to decide what you're going to focus on. And so I have a 3 things hack that I use. I'm showing you 4 fingers, but I have a 3 things hack that I use. And the way the 3 things hack works is that at any given time, what's important to me could change or shift. So this week or this month, what might be important to me might be, gosh, I need cash flow. Like I really need revenue. June, where I got revenue piling in and I'm like, oh, I really just need something that's creatively fulfilling. Like I'm tired of the grind of just working through my clients and doing the work. Or it might be that I just really want to make a difference. I want something that's going to create an impact. I want to be able to share my message. Like this is something that's really important to me. So I pick 3 things at any given time and they can change. And so I look at, okay, what is important to me right now is creatively exciting, earns me money, and it's a cause that I believe in. So anything I do today needs to have 2 out of 3. Maybe I'll get someone that are a perfect hat trick, but if I can get 2 out of 3, then it's a yes for me. So just really looking at how am I feeling about creativity? How am I feeling about making a difference? How am I feeling about earning money? What's really important to me? And I even go through all of my tasks or all of my actions, all of my goals, whatever I'm looking at, and I'll put letters beside them. I'll put C for creativity, and I'll just put a C beside all of them. And then I'll put an M for money, and I'll put an M beside any of them that are going to earn me money. And then I'll put a B for something I believe in. And if there's anything on that list that has 3 letters, guess what I'm going to do first? That thing. So really can help me figure out where I'm going to invest my focus and my energy. So momentum and motivation tends to be the thing that takes us off track the fastest. We burn out. It's not something that tends to be consistent. Momentum and motivation can sometimes go like this. So what tips do we have for you all on how to create momentum and stay motivated? So first one, celebration. So Melody, what do you do for celebration for yourself and for your clients to really help them create momentum and motivation?
Well, my clients and I meet every single Monday. And so everyone always has a chance to, say what's going on. We always celebrate whatever is happening. So just, acknowledging and celebrating every week. I have a client who just published this week. So next Monday, we are going to be like, yay, we did it. And, we're going to talk about that and celebrate it. And that's going to be so much fun. Right. So that's one thing we do is we always like take every week, we look at every celebration and we celebrate the little things too, Aura. Yeah. Like I'm finally writing 500 words a session. Yes, we celebrate that because those celebrations really add momentum.
And I really love that because it's something that we do in my community as well, is we start every meeting out with wins and goods, new and learning. And so sometimes what we're celebrating is that we learned something. We tried something, it didn't work, but guess what? We learned from it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really valuable to celebrate the learnings as progress as well, because when we look at, you've got a process base, a progress base, and then you've got an outcome base. If we're not hitting that progress base, it starts to feel just like a grind. And like all we're doing is working and taking action and nothing, we're not getting anywhere. And especially if you do have big outcome goals, especially if your goals are outside of the locus of your control. Being able to find the things, the small, tiny changes that you are making to be able to celebrate is such a key piece for creating that energy of momentum. It fuels that second belief of I believe it's possible for me. And when we get to celebrate, we also make it possible for other people because we're sharing our own journey. And most of the time, those tiny changes are the things that make the biggest difference.
Yes. Yes. And those tiny changes lead into those tiny action steps, right? So when I was talking about earlier, those process goals, those are tiny little changes you make. And it's amazing how each time you make this tiny little change, you're that much closer and you don't realize how close you are sometimes, but you're making these tiny little changes, and focusing on that can get you so much far ahead. It's funny, I was talking to an author and I said, well, what if you wrote, 1,000 words a week? How many would that be a year? And they're like, well, that's 52,000 words. Is that a book? Yes. Okay. Could you write 1,000 words a week? Yes. Could you write a book a year? Yes. Okay. Right. So that's, 100 words a day, is doable. Right. So, and don't count that out.
Do not discount 100 words a day. And I think you were saying, actions and processes that can be completed within an hour.
Yeah, I like an hour. I like an hour.
Actions are 2 minutes.
Yes.
120 seconds. Because I promise you, there are millions of people who don't even spend 2 minutes thinking about their goals. So here are some tiny 2-minute actions that you could do. Read your goals and reconnect to why they matter. If you have a vision board, look at your vision board and say your goals out loud. 2 minutes might just be journaling about how you feel today. 2 minutes might be reviewing your schedule and making sure that you have blocked time for what's a non-negotiable, which is building your future for yourself. So 2 minutes, tiny actions. I know a lot of times what stopped me in the past is I create these big goals and then I think I have to have them done like this week. It's like, if I haven't mastered my marketing by Tuesday, it's never going to happen. And so giving yourself that opportunity to look at and celebrate those tiny changes is so critical, for sure.
I'm going to just add something. Another tiny thing, read testimonials.
Yeah, that totally changes my state for sure. It gives me way more confidence.
Right. Read testimonials. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that 2-minute action. Awesome. My accountability partner is in the house, and I have to say that my life would certainly not be as effective or nearly as rich without her. So big shout out to Anna Beaudry. Thank you so much. She and I have been supporting each other through accountability for many years, and it is truly remarkable. And here's the thing. How we interact with each other has changed over the years. It's not the same process every time. And sometimes we find that we need more feedback or more support. Sometimes we need to add less. Sometimes we need to simplify. Sometimes we need to do like a 30,000-foot view with our accountability. Sometimes we're on micro actions. So the beautiful thing is to meet my accountability partner where she's at with the kind of support that's going to be meaningful to her.
Yeah.
But accountability doesn't come just from one person. Accountability often comes from community.
Yeah, I always think of myself as accountable to the people I serve. That's my biggest accountability, and that's my mindset. That's a mindset, right? It's like, and you want to be someone who can do brand. You are accountable to the people you're going to serve in the future. You're accountable to them today. As you are looking for new clients, you are accountable to them, and keeping that in mind is really important. And in community as well, I have a community of authors, but I also belong to a community of business owners. And so I am a community member, and I have leaders and coaches and masterminds, and then I am a community leader as well. But it's just so important to be part of a community. In fact, it's so interesting because people think you want to read books and this and that, but the truth is, all those books and courses and all that stuff you're reading, that's like 10% of success. They did a study, 10% of success is about that. Who you hang out with and the actions, that's the other 90%. And so instead of reading and reading and reading, find a community that are full of doers and join them and become an action taker. That's what that's how it works.
I feel very fortunate to have many people from my community here today with us. And so shout out to the BAM fam. The Business Accelerator Mastermind is the community that I run. And it's again, we meet every week. We help you create that habit of consistency and connection and support. It is a group of awesome, like-minded freelance creatives who are in business together, and you can do all the things that we're talking about in terms of sharing celebrations, ideas, and knowledge, and learning how to overcome obstacles, things that might stop you on your way to being an amazing, achieving all of your goals. So it's a really powerful, incredible place to be seen and to get the kind of support and accountability. I've put the link in the chat box for you. It's businessofcreativity.ca/mastermind. I would love to have you join me there. And if you're not sure, you can always respond to any of my emails that I'll be sending out with the recording and the link, and we can have a conversation about it. Melody also has a community.
I do. And of course, as you've probably heard, it is about authors, right? And so what is it? It is a community where you come in with an idea and we help you turn that idea into a published book. So we have weekly events, we have coaching, we have education. You are with a group of like-minded individuals. And then what's next on the slide, or remind me?
Sorry, I was just fascinated by you. Who is it for?
It is for experts, professionals, anyone really who's looking to level up their life with and their business with a book. And why? Because publishing is overwhelming and people deal with overwhelm and writer's block. So now you can access an efficient, streamlined system, and you can enjoy the process of becoming an author. And I'm going to put the link. There's a link to join right there, authornationtube.com join, but I'm also going to put the link to the community as well. So you have both. So you can check out the community, and you can also talk to me to join as well.
All right. And we wanted to end on community because one of the reasons why we're both so passionate about community is because it is a place that can truly help you sustain your motivation, your focus. It can help you overcome all of those obstacles that may get in your way to you actually achieving your goals and living your dreams. We both appreciate you being here with us so much. We are at 1 o'clock. So if you would like to head out, thank you so much. Please consider posting your takeaways in the chat box. I'm going to give you an opportunity for posting a Google review, but Melody and I are going to stay on the line and answer any of your questions for the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Please hang out with us and let us know if you have any other questions or concerns.
Thank you, Aura.
Stop the recording though.
Yes, brilliant idea.